Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening. This is Lauren P. Raysor. I apologize. I am in traffic on my way, hoping that I was sitting at a place where I am able to actually engage with you. But I am now back on the phone talking about this topic that is important to women and important to black women of all flavors. So welcome to Living the Wealthy Life, Blog Talk Radio, hosted by Lauren P. Raysor. Of course, you know that I'm a practicing attorney, and I am going to eventually give you some information about a major case that I am working on involving black women. And I fortunately was in negotiations with a large corporation to deal with some issues regarding women of color and representation. So forgive me for not coming in as timely as I should, but we're going to fix that next week, and hopefully we'll be able to continue our dialogue. Well, Oprah had a show. There has been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of conversation about the issue of black women and, of course, the issue surrounding dark-skinned women versus light-skinned women. And I know that I've had quite a few comments. As a matter of fact, not just a comment, I've had thoughtful 3 and 4 paragraphs regarding dark-skinned women and light-skinned women. So for this segment, if anyone would like to come in and talk about it, I'm going to ask that you certainly are welcome to do so this evening, so we can get what I call information, understanding, reconciliation, and, of course, healing. My grandmother, I start off by saying, are we still dealing with issues of color between ourselves? And, of course, has our different flavors become harmful, and are they a detriment opposed to do they make us stronger? I say our flavors of color should make us stronger. And sometimes maybe that is not the philosophy. So I want to lay some of the thoughts that I have. I am considered before I talk about my color, I want to talk about some of the issues that are surrounding dark-skinned and light-skinned women. There are studies that show, and of course there was a show on OWN that talked to dark-skinned women, particularly in the black community, that they're less valued, and we have to acknowledge whether we're light-skinned, caramel, chocolate, whatever the flavor is, whether we're Asian, whether we're red, whatever the color is, we have to acknowledge the first part of healing, of course, is to acknowledge that there is pain. I talked to my nephew the other day, and I was talking to him about a subject matter that was near and dear to my heart, and I had to give him the analogy. I'm pointing to my stomach, and you're giving me a diagnosis about my head. And although under certain circumstances, maybe it's my head and not my stomach, but the fact of the matter is he could be right. But the fact of the matter is we first have to begin to acknowledge that there is, in fact, a problem, and there is, in fact, feelings. So I welcome the dialogue, which obviously has been on shows. People have talked about it. Dark-skinned models have talked about it. Dark-skinned folks that are in the industry, entertainment, have talked about it. But I don't quite understand, and then I'm going to talk about some of the comments. I'm going to first talk about, I guess, 2 light-skinned individuals basically gave their comments specifically talking about the fact that they're not happy with any type of discrimination against their sisters and brothers. Then I also saw another comment. I know potentially who the person is, and I saw the comments. I don't have it in front of me, but I saw the comment which indicated that light-skinned women are, and I can quote it next week, light-skinned women are insecure. All light-skinned women believe that they are prettier. Definitely, she said that light-skinned women are more apt to be insecure. And so I believe that was from a dark-skinned brown sister, not to say who she is, but I was reading it, and I was a little disappointed. So I don't know if I should be disappointed, or someone says, get with it, Lauren. This is how it really is. Some dark-skinned women hate light-skinned women. Is that true? I don't know. Is it true that dark-skinned women have a feeling that, and I ask these questions on the internet, I ask them on Facebook, do you feel that you have gotten, light-skinned women, do you feel that you've gotten a leg up in society because you're light? That's a question I had. Then another question I have, dark-skinned women, do you believe that light-skinned women are your problem? Do you have the same feeling towards white women, the venomous feeling towards white women that you have towards light-skinned women? Of course, I welcome any comments if people are have the guts to really talk about it, because I would say to you that they're all myths. So how do we deal directly with these issues? How do we go to the heart of what actually is? So I talk about try to get to the heart of the matter. The heart of the matter is there are feelings from dark-skinned women that they believe that they are less prettier, that they believe that they are not as valued than light-skinned sisters. Is that a light-skinned sister's problem, or is that a dark-skinned sister's problem? Are those feelings that you have, should they be directed at light-skinned sisters? I don't know. You tell me. Or should they be directed at the power in the individuals that brought us to this particular subject matter, which is those who are in power? Willie Lynch, of course, are there to divide us. So should the anger be directed at light-skinned sisters or dark-skinned sisters, or should the anger be certainly directed at those who produce the images that bring the hurt to dark-skinned sisters? See, what I come away with is sometimes a solution. What is actually the solution to the problem? What is the actual solution? And when I get to issues of how do we heal, how do we reconcile with each other, how do we come to terms with, I think all you light-skinned women are insecure, and I think all you light-skinned women think you're better or prettier than dark-skinned women, when none of that factually is true. Yes, there are insecure dark-skinned sisters, chocolate sisters, brown-skinned sisters, every flavor of the United States that has major insecurities is certainly not directed at light-skinned sisters. And the reason why I'm speaking out is because we have to address this constant. I had light-skinned sisters in school beat up because they were light, of course. And obviously during slave times, we obviously know that the light-skinned sisters were raped. And there's statistical status that show that those are some of the things that created this milk color. What I don't see is dark-skinned women coming together with all of us for healing. It's important that we all brace, because I've seen light-skinned sisters fight hard. I'll give you a perfect example. My mother, my grandmother was very light, and her husband was very dark. And the mere fact that she was light, my grandfather used to beat her into the ground, kick her with boots on, because she was light. My grandmother, who was light, hated one of her granddaughters for the mere fact that she had lighter hair. I recall many women that are lighter color in the communities that I was in that would just be beaten up because they had long hair and they had lighter skin, which obviously is no fault. Skin color is no fault of their own. It is what God has given us that, of course, is something that we have to appreciate. I sometimes ask the question of my light-skinned sisters, what is your responsibility in helping our darker-skinned sisters heal? Because we know that society has played this divisive game. And what is our responsibility when those games are being played? Is to make sure that we include all of us at the table. So last year I was at a forum, and I heard these chocolate sisters talk about the fact that people would say to them, "You're pretty for a dark-skinned young lady." And that they felt insecure because they were dark-skinned. But we, as a group of black women, have to acknowledge that this, in fact, is about hurt. And that we cannot assume that light-skinned sisters are part of this game. I take exception to anyone saying, as hard as I have worked in my life, to say that to come in and say that I would discriminate against my brown, chocolate, beautiful sisters. We take exception to those types of myths. And that many of my lighter-skinned sisters, of course, many of my lighter-skinned sisters have gone out of their way to spend a lifetime of protecting the rights of all of our sisters. And therefore, we are saying, as light-skinned sisters, that we're not going to allow this divisiveness to continue. And that somehow, some way, we must work together to really say to our chocolate young ladies, and my sisters are beautiful, and to acknowledge that beauty by saying to us, whether to our face, that if you see our sisters and they have the beauty, then you acknowledge to them who they are if you believe that is the circumstance. In other words, we have to begin to start complimenting each other on our ways, on our accomplishments, on our looks, on everything. We have to begin to pick the best out of each and every one of us. We must begin to do that. Because as a race, if we continue to discuss dark-skinned, light-skinned issues, and we continue in this century to discuss those issues, and we're discussing it in a way to exclude our caramel sisters, our lighter-skinned sisters, our red-skinned sisters, our brown sisters, our dark-skinned sisters. If we're dialoguing this in a way without solutions to the problem, then we're going to continue to have these discussions with dark skin and about dark skin and light skinned women. That will continue to be part of our discussion line. So we must first acknowledge that there are issues and that people do discriminate, whether you hate light-skinned women versus light-skinned women hate dark women, white women hate this one, that one. We are a plethora of a conduit, it appears, of hate. And we cannot allow ourselves as a group of black women and women of color to be a conduit of hate of each other. So I say we have to have a different conversation about light-skinned and dark-skinned women. The conversation has to be about what is it that we have in common that will allow us to move towards a common goal. And if there's a need for healing, then we must put together what we need to put together to allow all of us to heal, all of us to love, all of us to celebrate ourselves. Now, I'm not trying to give people a lecture on this topic, but I know that the topic never comes from a lighter-skinned woman, and I am. And at times in my life, those who know me know that I have been in positions where white women particularly say that they believe I have it easier. And I said, no, I don't have a Prince Charming in my life, and no one's rode away with me and taken me somewhere where I don't have to work as hard as I do. No, there is no crystal staircase. Anyone that is black in America has to know that there's no crystal staircase for each other. Now, we must address our power structure that appears to divide us and we must address those issues in Hollywood, and I'm addressing those issues with the corporation that I'm going to be dealing with tomorrow. I will be addressing those issues. So I say to you, this is food for thought. I appreciate you tuning in. I apologize for the tardiness, but my light-skinned sisters have to speak, and we speak to say that we have love, we have reconciliation, we do have understanding, and that we are not the targets, or we are not part of this game of divide and conquer. And we're letting you know, my sisters, that we stand with you. But we must have a plan in which we must stand together and move forward. If it means standing against Hollywood, then that's what it means. If it means standing against image makers, then that's what it means. But we must stand together with you because we have love, we have respect for each other. God bless, live a wealthy life, and have a good night. Thank you.